YouTube has continued to attack alternative media by demonetizing most of our videos. If you'd like to support the channel, please visit our Amazon store or our Patreon page. Links below. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and I feel like stories like this pop up at least once a year, where we hear stories of ghost ships that find themselves along the coast of Japan or floating in the middle of nowhere. No bodies on board, no nothing, just an empty vessel floating at sea. Now, anyone with half a brain can look at this and realize, well, yeah, it's probably coming from North Korea. And these aren't people that are trying to seek exile that died in the journey. It's not like the people that were in the rafts trying to get the 90 miles from Cuba to Florida. But this is not that at all. These are people that are out there trying to work for the country, work for the state, if you will. And this is where they end up perishing. Now, it says here that ghost ships turn up along Japanese coast, likely from North Korea. A small wooden boat washed ashore in the Akita Prefecture in Japan on Monday. Inside the ghost ship were the bodies of 8 people, partially skeletonized, meaning they've been out there for a while. And probably birds have got to them. And also the weather and the elements have got to them. It's not like being locked in a box in the ground. There's stuff there to deal with, so we don't know how long they've been out there, but partially skeletonized tells me that there is probably some feasting happening from the local birds. Anyway, the Japan Coast Guard said it was working to determine the nationalities of the dead, but a Japanese Coast Guard official told the Associated Press that one of the men was holding North Korean currency. I didn't really think they had currency in North Korea, to be honest with you. I thought they just gave them like rations. Anyway, the boat washed ashore some 45 miles north of where another boat came ashore last week with 8 men who said they were from North Korea. They had been stranded with their squid catch, according to the Associated Press. So not everyone who shows up is dead. See, that's actually new to me. Believe it or not, that's actually new to me. Most of the time when these stories appear, it's because of these ghost ships. It's a far more interesting story overall, but ultimately it's because of these ghost ships. It also says, also this month, the Coast Guard reportedly rescued 3 North Korean fishermen whose boat had capsized. The bodies of 2 men were found on the shore of an island in the Sea of Japan, and Reuters say that North Korean cigarettes and life jackets bearing Korean lettering were found nearby. Okay, so more and more people are popping up, but I mean, really the question here is, why is this kind of stuff happening? And these aren't people either. These are not defectors. That's, I think, the key takeaway here. These people aren't trying to flee Kim Jong-un. They're just out there working. It says, in response, the Japanese Coast Guard says it's stepping up its watch. Given the frequency of this, yeah. Given what's going on in North Korea, yeah. Yeah, I get it. The Coast Guard and the police have to cooperate to step up sea patrols around Japan. This is coming from Chief Government Spokesman Yoshihide Suga. The government intends to improve this to ensure that we can guard against suspicious boats or people arriving in Japan, i.e. immigration. Satoru Miyamoto, a professor at Japan's, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, said that there was an increase in boats washing ashore in Japan in recent years. Again, I come across these articles, it feels relatively frequently. And I know I've covered this once before, a long time ago, maybe 2015, 2014, somewhere around there. But again, this has been happening. So it says here that after Kim Jong-un decided to expand the fisheries industry as a way of increasing revenue for the military, they were using old boats manned by the military, by people who have no knowledge about fishing. It will continue. So essentially what it is this gives you an idea of just how bad things are in North Korea. Now today, North Korea fired another missile, the first one in a couple months. It has people all abuzz over this whole thing. But if you want to look at kind of the minutia of the North Korean economy, at least to give you, from this particular perspective, it gives you an idea of just how bad things are. I mean, there was a guy last week who was in fact defecting from North Korea who was shot multiple times coming over the DMZ and everything else. And when they found him, they found a tapeworm in his stomach. They found all these parasites on him. We know that North Korean soldiers are malnourished. We know that their body height has been shrinking as a result of this malnourishment. And we know that things are pretty bad, and they're still trying to beat the drums of war and test off all these rockets to show their nuclear might in order to basically use it as a bargaining chip against the rest of the world. But if we look at this particular story, and this guy says that these old boats are being manned by people who have no knowledge of fishing, and we're coming across many stories and many stories and many stories, right, of either boats with dead people on them or boats with fishermen who are from North Korea that are trapped, or we're finding just more dead bodies on islands and people need to be rescued from capsized boats. They're losing boats at a pretty steady rate. They're losing men who know enough about fishing in order to go out there and expand upon the fishing industry in the country. And that's going to have a supreme impact on their GDP, especially if they're trying to fuel the military. And since that's the one thing that Kim Jong-un likes to make sure everyone knows is right as rain, never mind what we learned coming out of that guy from last week, then things are going to be interesting for Kim Jong-un going forward. Maybe this is why Trump's pissing the guy off. I don't know. It's like their economy is crap. Russia and China have said they're going to work together to try to, stop Kim Jong-un and all these things. And here we're seeing boat after boat after boat popping up on Japanese shorelines of fishermen who are dead or just out there and they don't know anything about fishing and they get stuck at sea. So Seo Yuk-suk, the research manager of North Korean Studies Institution, told Reuters that the incident could be the result of food shortages in North Korea and old boats that are vulnerable to bad weather. I'm sure it's a little bit of column A and a lot of column B. North Korea pushes so hard for its people to gather more fish so they can make up their food shortages. And what happens when you start over harvesting, especially when it comes to fishing, right? You have to eventually move out past where you can fish because you've already depleted all the resources there and not given them enough time to resupply. There's not an infinite amount or there's not an unlimited amount of fish in the sea. In a recent spat of stray vessels reminiscent of late 2015 when 12 wooden boats, that's what it was from, 12 wooden boats from 2015 carrying decaying bodies were found alongside Japan's coast in a span of 2 months. That's what I was originally referring to. Again, I've heard these kind of stories before. It's not always clear whether those aboard might have been gathering food or looking to defect. CNN reports that some North Korean fishermen rescued earlier this month by Japanese authorities were returned to that country at the men's request. And I'm pretty sure they were returned at the men's request because if they didn't, their families would be killed. I'm pretty sure. I mean, there is no such thing as a good deed in North Korea. There's no such thing as duty and honor, I believe. Absolute patriotism in North Korea. I think most of everything is under fear or threat of death. Given everything we've seen coming out of North Korea, I would argue that's probably pretty accurate. Now, look, they don't know here if everyone there is just doing their jobs and they're not trying to defect. And honestly, you know what? I could be wrong about that. It seems more like their industries are drying up. They just had that collapse at their nuclear test silo a few weeks ago where 200 people died, unfortunately. And these are people that don't deserve the life that they're given. And the thing is, it's what do we do about it? Oftentimes we're watching one of the greatest human rights violations play out in real time. We know how bad it is in Pyongyang and beyond in North Korea. We know how bad it is there, but it's not our country and it's not our fight. So for us to intervene, there's that, I think Eddie Izzard said it best, right? When it comes to like us invading, you look at World War II, Hitler started, concentration camps, rounding up people, killing other people. And it's when you're killing other people that they have a problem. But when you're killing your own people, like Pol Pot, it's almost like they're saying, well done, because he got house arrest, according to the anecdote that Eddie Izzard said in Dress to Kill. So you've got that aspect as well, where you've got it's because it's happening to his own people. They're keeping it, they're saber rattling, but they're not doing anything that's going to be 100% provoking. The firing missiles over Japan is more of a test of show, then that's really about it. It's just unfortunate that this is the reality of that country, that we live in the 21st century, and there's still a country out there that's as bad as North Korea. And there are other countries, don't get me wrong, that are like treat people as bad. We know about that. But this is a forefront this is a thought on the front of many people's minds because it keeps popping up in the news and whatnot. I would almost prefer these kind of stories to get far more traction about the human rights issues in North Korea rather than just, oh, they fired off another missile. But firing off another missile is far more of a sexy story than ghost ships washing up along shore with partially skeletized remains inside. Hey guys, that wraps up this video. If you'd like to leave a comment, please do so below. I love to read your guys' input. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It really does help me in the YouTube algorithm. If you want to support the channel, there's the Amazon affiliate store, there's PayPal, there's Patreon, there's Bitcoin. And if you're bored and you want something else to watch, check out 3 Buck Theater up here. My name is Matt Jarbo. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a wonderful day. Peace out.